Yeah, so we'll moving on with our leadership masterclass, becoming a global leader, and where we believe that all of us as leaders should think global, lead local, and transform the world. And we believe that a better leader is a better life. A better leader is a better family, is a better community, a better nation, and even a better world. So we're becoming better, I'm sure, in every session as we come together and engage. And today, as we move on, we are now transitioning to level 2, where we are now starting to handle issues of just deepening our understanding on leadership. Level 1, we've been looking at self-awareness, and we have taken some online tests. I'm sure last week we discussed, and I'm sure those who had not taken the test, we've been able to undertake the test just to be able to deepen your understanding about yourself, because growth starts from self-awareness. So the better I'm able to understand myself, then that will pave way for me to be able to align myself well, and also to be able to know specifically on which area I need to focus on as I plan my personal development. So we are starting with lesson 7. And in lesson 7, we look at 3 categories of leadership, and then we look at evolution of leadership. So there are 2 sessions, or there are 2 parts in this lesson for today. And then later on, we'll jump to lesson 8 and look at leadership development phases. And to start on, I want to share a few quotes, and just do a very simple icebreaker. We are calling it Guess the Leader. So look at this quote and just take a guess, either by chat, maybe by chat it can be better, so that those who have some challenge with their audio, they can also be able to participate. So on the chat, you can indicate who is the author of that quote. The first quote is, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." Yeah, who is the author of that quote? If you can take a guess, or if you know, you can just give the answer. So on the chat, I'll be checking on the chat. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. David, you are saying J.F. Kennedy. J.F. Kennedy. And you are right. You're right. That is J.F. Kennedy. I'm not sure if there is another guess, but that's the answer. The second quote, "Do not wait for leaders. Do it alone, person to person." Do not wait for leaders. Do it alone, person to person. Who is the author of that quote? Do not wait for leaders, do it alone, person to person. Actually, it continues to say, if the leader that you are waiting for might never arise. Thank you, David and Mariam. You are correct. And Rebecca, you are correct. It's Mother Teresa. I think that's a wonderful quote, just to provoke us as leaders. So yeah, that's Mother Teresa. Next, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. I'm sure this one will all of us get it right. So who is that? Who is the author of that quote? A leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Who is the author of that quote? Let's take a guess, or just share the answer if you know. Okay. John Maxwell, John C. Maxwell. Thank you, David. Let me see the others. I'll take one more. John C. Maxwell, that is from David. Okay. Maybe the others you can follow as we continue. The second quote, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. Who is the author of that quote? If you judge people, you have no time to love them. And these quotes are actually speaking to us. I think they are very important lessons to us as leaders. Wow. David, Mother Teresa. The rest, I think I can take another. I can see now we are full house. So let's guess the quote. Who is the author of that quote? If you judge people, you have no time to love them. So David has given his. Let's take two more responses. As we move on to the other. Yeah, Rebecca, you're saying Mother Teresa. Mariam is saying Mother Teresa. So thank you so much. It's true. That's the first quote. A leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. That's John Maxwell. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. That is Mother Teresa. And then finally, if it falls, you are allowed to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo, painted pictures like Shakespeare, wrote poetry like Boston, composed music, sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great sweeper who swept his job well. Who is the author? Sorry for that. Yeah, so I see David, you're saying Martin Luther. Martin Luther. Any other guests? Sorry, I have a cold, so I'll just try to manage the session. Okay, so that's Martin Luther. Martin Luther King Jr. A real leader uses every issue, no matter how serious and sensitive, to ensure that at the end of the debate, we should emerge stronger and more united than ever before. That's a quote by who? A real leader uses every issue, no matter how serious and sensitive, to ensure that at the end of the debate, we should emerge stronger and more united than ever before. We can guess whose quote is that. So whose quote is that? David, I think you are the guru of this area, in this area. Yeah, getting them correct. Thank you, David. How about one more response? One more response as we move on. Can take one more. One more response. Okay, so just share, that is Nelson Mandela. And then I suppose leadership at one time meant muscles, but today it means getting along with people. Let's see this one. I suppose leadership at one time meant muscles, but today it means getting along with people. Who is the author of that quote? Let's take a guess. This one I just take one because of time. And every answer is correct. We said in the masterclass, we appreciate every perspective. David, you're saying Mahatma Gandhi. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else who can take a guess? I see we have the rest. We are all on board now. Anybody else who can take a guess? We'll go with David today. David, thank you so much. Mahatma Gandhi, you're correct. Wow. Let's appreciate David. Let's appreciate David. He's gotten those quotes and the others quite well. So, David, congratulations. Congratulations, David. Yeah, so I think as leaders, this is also important, just to be able to have some historical understanding about leadership and lessons that we can be able to learn from these leaders. And we'll be looking at that today as we get into the evolution of leadership, just to help us appreciate where leadership, how leadership has evolved. But at the same time, we'll be picking very, very important lessons along the way as we ground ourselves to deeper concepts of leadership. Because level 2, now we're getting into deeper concepts of leadership, and just to be able to redefine and understand leadership based on different thinking and different authors' approach to the topic of leadership. So as we move on, please feel free to share your comments on the chat. If something comes out clearly and strong, just share it on the chat, and then we'll look at it and share with the rest of the team. So that will be your takeaway for this particular session. So part 1, or part A, we look at 3 categories of leadership. There are 3 basic categories of leadership. And we're talking about political leadership, we have military leadership, and also we have religious leadership. So just a very brief overview of each. Starting with political leadership, we're saying it's a function, not really a position. And the role for a political leader is obtained through the ability to serve this function. It's not through formal authorization. So it's a function, and it keep on changing from one political regime to the other. And the key here is that in political leadership, there is the issue of mobilization of the political community so that they can formulate the problem diagnosis as well as political strategies. And you have heard many times in some occasions for political leaders calling for stakeholders engagements, because that's a function that they are occupying. So they really need to work close with the citizens so that they're able to formulate problem diagnosis, or they're able to identify the problem within the community and also come up with appropriate strategies. And I think this is important even for us who are in other field of leadership. Then we are saying there are 10 most expected qualities for good political leaders. So let's look at this quality, and as we look at the quality, just try to think about our political space. And I will want you to share probably the area that we feel based on the qualities. There is the areas that are wanting, the areas that we feel there are gaps in our political leadership. So just share on the chat maybe 1 or 2 that you feel, wow, this one will require urgent focus so that we can improve on that particular quality. So these are the qualities of a political leader. 1 is patriotism. As you can see, we are talking about good education. That one, now we are discussing the issue of degree. So good education, I think this might be determined by other policies. We have honesty, then we have political professionalism, charisma, intelligence, responsibility, strength of character, service to the people, and bravery. So of the 10, which one do we feel that, wow, there is urgent need for improvement. And as we think about the political leadership, let's also think about ourselves in relation to these qualities that we are discussing today, about patriotism. How are we patriotic about our country, about honesty, about charisma, about intelligence, responsibility, strength of character. So first, let's look at the political leaders and the areas that are wanting, as we also reflect about ourselves. So maybe if you can chat, or just one person can unmute and mention something, an area that you feel is wanting. I can take one or two, either on the chat or just unmute and make a comment. Yeah, so you have the space now. You can share on the chat or just unmute and share a comment. Are we together, leaders? Are we together?
I'll go. Yeah, we are together. Can you hear me?
Yes, David.
Yes. At the moment, what I can say about qualities of our good political leaders and leaders, but sadly, there's those qualities that has been there that are lacking, and very few live up to these leadership ideals. And in fact, many political leaders seem to severely lack some of the important leadership qualities, such as honesty, to start with. Mm-hmm. They're not honest. When you go out there during the campaigns, they promise more than what they can deliver. And when now they've been to an office, they don't live to those promises, and also responsibilities. Now, this has been seen quite a number of times where politicians they lack responsibility in terms of even the projects that they themselves initiate or the government initiates. There's that lack of responsibility. No one seems to care happening in regards to the projects that are there in place, or even coming up with one. As long as they've gotten up, they tend to forget about the people who put them there. This shows that there are still few who comes to close the leadership ideals and who are good examples of political leaders. So that's all I can say for now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you, David, for the comment and just expounding on your comment, and that has come out quite clear. So I think maybe some of us might be aspiring to get to those positions. So it's good just we also focus on these 10 most expected qualities so that we are able to demonstrate them if we get an opportunity to serve in the political space. But at the same time, even where we are serving on these other spaces, I think we have a responsibility also to be able to align ourselves with these qualities. Mariam, you have a comment? Mariam Karanja, I can see your hand is raised. Well, unfortunately, Mariam, we can't hear you. Probably, Mariam, you can disconnect. If you can hear me, you can disconnect and connect back. Yeah, just disconnect and then connect back, and then because we need to hear you and get your comment. Yeah. So immediately she comes back, I'll give her an opportunity so that we can also be able to hear from her. So those are the qualities, and that is, I didn't want to go into so much details about political leadership because I want to emphasize more on the other two. One, military leadership, because there's so much that we can be able to pick from military leadership. There's so much we can learn from this. So as we walk through this, we'll be able to identify quite a lot that is aligned with our current and even our future leadership. So as we take this journey, just reflect and let's discuss more as we discuss about military leadership. But let me first check if now I can be able to communicate with Mariam. Mariam, if you can hear me, you can probably unmute and just, yeah, good.
Can you hear me?
Welcome, Mariam.
Oh. Sorry, I think even the first time I was talking, I could hear, I was not able to communicate back. Just wanted to comment on the previous slide that also our political leaders, sometimes they lack survey. They tell you they will serve you, but it does. Not many of them have integrity. So I think I wanted to add on the service to the people. Yes, they may say they want to serve people, but their character so is to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, Pamela. Welcome, Pamela.
Thank you. Maybe just to add on to what Miriam has said, I was listening to some conversation today, and I got challenged that our political leaders have all the weaknesses that we can mention, but it is back to us because we are the ones who choose them. And how do we choose them? We choose them by failing the bribery tests. For example, they bribe us to vote for them. So when finally they get there, they cannot serve us as they promised. So I think when we talk about our political leaders, we should also be challenged that we are part of them. We made them what they are. That is what I wanted to share.
Yeah, true. They are just a reflection, and they are coming from our system. So, and I think this is also part of our awareness, just to be able to understand these concepts of leadership and see how do we pass this message. Can we be able to probably sensitize a few people and see if we are able to have a better reflection of who we are through the leaders that we are electing. But Pamela, that's true. That is something that we need to reflect on and act on, starting from ourselves and also from the circles that we have the influence, so that we are able to see what little contribution we can make. Good. So let's move on to the military leadership. And we are saying it's the art of influencing and directing men in such a manner to obtain their willing obedience. So the key word there, I want to take note, is willing obedience, respect, confidence, and loyal cooperation in order to accomplish the mission. A soldier or a military personnel, they are there voluntary. This is a very risky affair, but you will find them engaging, moving towards the danger without fear. And I think this is one area that there's quite a lot that we can be able to pick in terms of selfless leadership. And as we are saying, that the willingness. Are there people that are following us out of willingness, not compulsion, not authority as in a way, but there's something that is inspiring them to be able to walk the journey, despite the danger that might be ahead of us. So the willing obedience, also there is the element of respect, the confidence, and also loyal cooperation in order to accomplish. Again, here, there is that word, accomplish the mission. So there is a mission. So as we expound on this, we will see that military leadership is a process of, he's saying, influencing others to accomplish one, there is a particular mission. And how do they do that? By providing purpose, also providing direction or vision, and also there is an element of motivation. Yeah, so influencing others to accomplish the mission. So is our mission clear? The mission must be very clear. Purpose, why are we embarking on that journey, or why do we need to pursue this mission? And also, what is the end in mind? That is the vision and the element of motivation. There are some factors of leadership under the military leadership, and we have the led, we have the leader, we have the situation, and we have communication. And I think these are factors that apply even in our own leadership space, because there are people that we are leading, and we are there as leaders. We are there tackling or leading in particular situations. And one of the key elements that we'll be addressing later on is the issue of communication, which is also a factor, because communication is very key in terms of leadership. So those are the factors. We have some principles of leadership based on military leadership. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. That's where we started, just try to understand ourselves, and then we seek self-improvement. We are saying be technically and tactically proficient, seek responsibility and take responsibility for your actions, and then make sound and timely decisions, set the example, know your soldier and look out for their welfare, and keep your subordinate informed, then develop a sense of responsibility in your subordinate. So those are principles of leadership. Again, is ensure that the task is understood, supervised, and accomplished. Build the team, employ your unit in accordance with its capabilities. So looking at those principles of leadership based on military leadership, these are still applicable to us, and maybe you can single out that particular area that you feel maybe something that you might need to work on from those particular principles. There are traits, leadership traits. One is knowledge. You must be knowledgeable. If you're going for a mission, you must be knowledgeable about your own, and also knowledgeable about your enemy. Just you need to be acquainted so that you're able to tackle the situation. So knowledge, courage, initiative, decisiveness, tact, justice, and also dependability. We are also bearing, the issue of bearing, endurance, enthusiasm, and selfishness, integrity, loyalty, and judgment. So those are some of the traits from the military leadership. Yeah, so maybe we can have a reflection on this, but not now in the group. Just take a reflection on these three categories, and we're able to point out some of the key traits that we feel are very important to us as leaders in our spaces, and how we are able to probably adapt or adopt some of those traits that we can be able to pick from these examples that we are discussing today. The third category of leadership is what we call religious leadership. Yeah, and they give people the hope, guidance, and courage, and they need to stay strong in their faith. During the COVID-19, and we're still in the same period, and one of the key messages has been hope. And this we can see religious leadership comes in handy. So giving people hope, guidance, and also the courage that they need to stay strong in their faith. The best example here is Jesus Christ, who is the ultimate example of spiritual leadership. So this kind of leaders, or this kind of leadership is transforming relationship in which the leader invests in the growth and development of the followers, then empowering them to become what God has gifted them to be. So it's not really making them to be like you as a leader, but is helping them to understand themselves and also how well they're able to serve what they have in terms of potential, in terms of the gifting. And the key aspects when it comes to religious leadership is the element of shepherd leadership, servant leadership, humility, relationship, and stewardship. So relationships is key, because in most cases you'll find in religious leadership you are leading people that are following you voluntarily. They are not obligated to walk with you or to follow you. So it's based on how well you're able to ground your relationship with them, so that they can willingly and voluntarily be able to walk together with you as a leader. So this is one of the most tricky area to lead, because of the reasons that I've just expounded on. But with a deepened relationship, with more care, with more servant leadership, then we are able to work together with these people. So those are the three categories of leadership. I just felt I just needed to highlight them briefly. You can take more study on these areas of leadership just to be able to ground your understanding more. So the second part of this lesson 7 is the evolution of leadership. Leadership has evolved for centuries, from late 1800, and now we are in 2000 and beyond. So you can look at that timeline and you see there are different theories that have existed in different timings. And we look at these theories just in brief. Look at the 10 theories and how the philosophy or the thinking behind each of these theory. In many cases, I'm sure most of you have had some of these questions: are leaders made or are leaders born? And all these are enshrined in some theories. And these theories have continued to evolve. So let's look at the theories one by one. The great man theory, that was proposed by Thomas in 1840. And for him, in this theory, he believes that people are born, they are born leaders, they are leaders who are born. And it says that leaders are born, not made. Great leaders will arise when there is a great need. So they are born natural leaders with built-in qualities of leadership and attain greatness by divine design. So this was a philosopher who came up with the idea of leaders are born, not made. So those questions are actually they are based on these theories. They are based on some particular historian. And I think as we respond to them, we'll be able to point out the different theories and how the theories have continued to evolve. And then there is a second one, the trait theory of leadership. So great leaders are born, not made. Again, you can see there is consensus. Leaders are born with certain character traits or qualities, since certain traits are associated with leadership. And this theory assumes that if you could identify people with those correct traits, then you will be able to identify leaders or individual with the leadership potential. So the key word here is the traits. Then we have the skills theory. The skills theory. So the skills theory, let's look at the skills theory and what it talks about. A leader need technical skills in their domain, people skills, and conceptual skills. Conceptual skills, talking about bigger picture thinking or visionary. And we are saying this, which is the ability to see the bigger picture and to think strategically. So look at the skills theory. To be a leader, you need technical skills in your domain or in your field. 2, people skills. 3, conceptual skills. That's to see ability to see big picture and also to be able to think strategically. This one, I think as we discuss, I want you to highlight this one in your discussion, because I think this is still so much applicable even today in our leadership space. Then we have the style theory of leadership. So style, the theory focuses on style. We have different styles of leadership: democratic, autocratic, transformational, strategic leadership, and among others. So this theory focuses on styles, and such leaders are people-friendly, but also as we look at the example, we see some are inclined to the people, others are inclined to the task. We look at that as we move on. Then we have situational leadership. There is no one model that fits all situations. According to this theory, certain styles and traits fit in one situation, but not another. The leader must therefore adapt to the situation. So the key word here, the leader must be able to adapt to the situation. There is no one model that fits all situations. So we keep on adapting, as we have seen during the period that we have gone through. There are a lot of shifts, and as a leader, you have to be able to lead in different situations by adapting. So that is situational leadership. Then we have the contingency theory. This is the opposite, the flip of the situational leadership. Pick the right leader for the situation rather than leader adapting to the situation. So Fred Fiedler, 1960s, this is his thinking. He was saying effective leadership is contingent on matching the leader style to the setting. So it's about picking the right leader for the situation rather than leader adapting. So it's more, it assumes that as things change, then even leaders needs to change. So I don't know how well we agree with this as leaders. Maybe as we discuss also, we can point out on this. So just to highlight briefly on the style theory, we have autocratic leadership. I'll just highlight this, and we are saying it's centered around and focused on the leader. So the decisions or decision making is done by the leader. Yeah, so, and we find this to be more of leader driven, not really the people driven. Then we have democratic leadership, which is also called participative leadership, and it focuses on the leader's team. So decision making is shared across the team. Yeah, so in this case, we see now the power and decision making and other leadership roles are now distributed. Then we have transformational leadership. The leader models the behavior they expect to see, sets clear goals, and has high expectation, while at the same time supporting emotionally and guiding people to achieve set goals. So transformational leadership, it's more of the leader setting the example, showing the way. Then we have laissez-faire leadership. This is hands-off leadership. So in this case, the leader allows the team to entirely self-direct. And here we are saying authority is shared, and also the roles like goal setting, problem solving, decision making, amongst others, they are shared. So the key to success for this style is to build a really very strong team and then stay out of their way. So I'm not sure in your case, which is more applicable, but as Global Leadership Network, I'll be pointing out to which direction are we taking. So if you look at the areas of focus based on this leadership style, you'll see in the case of democratic, it focuses more on issues of these task-oriented and also people. The people, there is emphasis on people. For transformational, there is less emphasis on the task, but more emphasis on the people. So each style tends to focus differently based on people and also based on the task. For the situational leadership, there are also other examples we can give, or there are some subcategories. 4 primary leadership styles. So we have one we call telling, that is telling leadership leadership or situational leadership style. And in this leadership style, the leader tells people what to do and how to do. There is the selling. This involves more back and forth between leader and followers. So leaders sell their ideas and message to get group members to buy into the process. And then we have participating. The leader offers less direction and allows members of the group to take more active role to be able to come up with ideas and also making decisions. Then we have delegating. There's less involvement, hands-off approach to leadership. This is more of the other style that I've pointed up there. So in this, based on which leadership style you are using, then there is the maturity level. And maturity level, we are saying if you're dealing with the people of this maturity level, then you can apply this particular style of leadership. For example, telling style works well for maturity level 1, where group members lack the knowledge, skills, and willingness to complete the tasks. Then you need to be able to be hands-on and to be able to tell the people what to do. Then selling maturity level 2, group members are willing and enthusiastic, but they lack the ability. So selling will work well in that category. Participating maturity level 3, the same group members have the skills and capability to complete the task, but are unwilling to take responsibility. Then I think here in this case, we need to apply participative leadership or participative style. Then delegating, maturity level 4, group members are highly skilled and willing to complete the task. So here you can be able to delegate and probably even lead hands-free. So for under situational leadership, those are the styles that we can, the sub-styles that we can be able to impress as we match with the maturity level. So I'll move on with the other theories. We have the transactional leadership. So where people follow a leader based on incentives in place, and the role of a leader is to find the right mix of rewards and sanction and then monitor the occurrences. Transactional leadership mostly will be based on a transaction, based on there's something that we are doing together, there's something that is bringing us together. And once that is done, then we are good to go until next time when there is something that we need to, that brings us together. So it's mostly based on issues of, it's incentives driven, it is tasks driven, there has to be something that is bringing us together. And this is so occasional. This one may not work in terms of a long-term relationship. So just need to flag that out and note that. Then we have transformational leadership. So in the case of transformational leadership, you're saying we focus on cultivating followership rather than paying for it or punishing non-compliance. So, this is more relationship based. The leaders are able to interact with their teams, and also keyword here is inspire them to be able to advance together. So if you're talking about or thinking about transformational leadership, then the keyword there should be inspire, or a leader who is able to inspire. Then we have the leader-manager exchange theory. A leader's success is based on a fair exchange between the leader and the follower. So it has 3 dimensions: the mutual respect of each other's capability, a deepening sense of reciprocal trust. So the trust is important, and a strong sense of obligation to one another in the working relationship. So for leader-member exchange theory, you can see a fair exchange, you can see mutual respect, the issue of trust are key, and also working relationship. There has to be some element of good relationship. Then servant leadership. Servant leadership, this is the latest, and yet it is the earliest. This has been there for centuries. As much as we're putting it in the timeline, we are saying this is a timeless concept, and it focuses on a servant leader, where a leader sets out to serve first. And it's through the serving that a leader becomes a leader. So focus on a leader serving rather than being served. And such a leader creates an environment for trust. Again, trust here is important, cooperation, reciprocal service, and ultimately higher performance. So people will follow out of love and gratitude rather than compassion or fear. I think that's a very important statement there. And the best model of this is Jesus Christ. So such leaders lead through inspiration rather than manipulation, control, or threats. Just picture the example of Jesus and how he was calling the disciples. Some of the disciples were they were businessmen, and they were doing probably well in their business. Some were tax collectors. So these people were all busy. So how they left what they were doing to be able to follow him, there had to be something very compelling for them to be able to walk together with him. And I think when you're talking about servant leadership, that is what servant leadership can do, because you have the best interest of the people at heart. And therefore, it's very easy for people to be able to work with you. For global leadership, we are saying a leader who thinks global leads local for global transformation. So a mix of transformational so that we are inspirational leadership is important. And then ambidextrous. I'll mention that in the next slide. And then a servant and purpose-driven leadership qualities are very important. So transformational elements are very important to us as global leaders. Ambidexterity, very important, that the ability to be able to lead with both hands, as I will explain, and also servant heart, where we lead by creating an environment of trust and cooperation, reciprocal service, among other qualities that we've been able to mention. So these are important, and also the issue of providing purpose, meaning, so that as we engage, people will have a deeper understanding and more meaning in terms of participating in their areas of leadership. So ambidextrous leadership, I'll conclude with this. So ambidexterity is the ability to use both the left and the right hand equally, just to be able to explain where this word originated from. So it's a Latin word, and it means both, being able to use probably both hands. So in this case, we are saying ambidextrous leadership is leadership style in which the leader possesses some of these qualities. For example, a dual focus leadership approach that works towards what is best for individual and what is best for the organization as a whole simultaneously. So those are the two hands. What is the best for the organization and what is the best for the individual? So we focus on that. Again, we are saying ambidextrous leadership, explore new opportunities while exploiting existing ones. So you look at what you have as opportunity, but again, you're still exploring existing one. So explore, but exploit what you have. Again, we are saying look at long-term while serving short-term. So those are that's the ability to use the two approaches, and that is what we refer to as ambidexterity or ambidextrous leadership. So that brings us to the end of lesson 7, and there are some materials that I've added. You can look at page 35 where we have evolution of leadership, and you can fill the gaps there according to what we have gone through. But we'll provide these PowerPoints later on, so you can look at the additional materials. Otherwise, I hope you've been able to follow the discussions quite well. And so we'll just do a very short, we'll have a very short session just to be able to discuss what is coming out of these discussions. And we discuss the sessions today. You also remember to look at the book review and look at what came out clearly and maybe how aligned are they with our discussions today. So you can just think out a few points as a team, and then as we come back, we'll be able to discuss, we'll be able to have a plenary and just to be able to learn from your discussion. So we'll create the breakout sessions. I'm thinking maybe we can do 2 because of time. We can just 2 breakout rooms. So we'll have, let me just create this one now as we embark on these discussions. So we'll have room 1 and room 2. And then after the 10 minutes, each room will share their deliberations as we embark on the lesson 8. So just give me a thumbs up if we are flowing together and if you can hear me well, so that I can release you to get to the groups. Just a thumbs up, or just indicate. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, Mariam, David, Ben. Good. I think all of us, we are flowing. So let's take some time, 10 minutes, just to discuss, and then we'll be able to come back. David Macau, I can see your hand is raised. David Macau, your hand is raised. Oh, you are confirmed.
No, I'm okay.
Good.
I was just confirming, eh?
Okay, good. So let's join our breakout session for 10 minutes. Discuss the key lessons for today's sessions, and also a little bit of the breakout, a little bit of book review, and then we'll come back and embark on the second and the last session. So you can join the session, you can join your breakout group now. We listen to the deliberation, maybe 2 minutes for each group, and then we'll take it up to the next session. So room one, I think whoever was coordinating, you can just unmute and share your discussions, a summary. So room 1, we had Ben, David Macau, and Mariam Karanja. Okay, room 1. Whoever is representing room 1, just unmute and continue. Mariam, we seem not to hear you well. I don't know if it's the volume that is a bit low. Hello, Mariam, we can hear you, but very far away. It's a bit faint. Okay, so maybe any other member of the group 1 or room 1, as we try to check with.
Yes. You can hear me, David? Eh?
Yeah, we can hear you, David. David,
yes, I think Miriam was a good explanation, but I can help because of it.
Yeah, proceed.
You can get me?
Yeah, we can get you clear.
We went through the discussions, our lesson today, and we were able to go through the whatever the topics that we had. That is the political, the religious, and the other part was sorry, I came in late, so I was just trying to pick it from my colleagues. That the military, religious. Went all through that. able to identify some of the things mentioned in chapter 3 in promotion in us. You realize that you are able to do a lot when you realize the potential. Most of the people, everyone was born with the leadership. Most of the people don't realize they are going through, and they go through after to make some effort. And we will train on some of the things that we realize individually.
David, we are losing you.
To realize the purpose. Hello. Hello.
Okay, you seem to be breaking. You seem to be breaking, but just continue. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, continue, David.
Yeah, so we were able to review. You are getting me?
Yeah, we're getting you.
So you know who you are, you understand your source of purpose, and the assignment that you are accountable to a higher power. It came out very clearly. We also identified that the image of yourself is your source of confidence and courage. So when you realize who you are, you have some confidence, and then when purpose that you really have that vision and the focus in whatever you are doing. It also came clearly that the servant leadership starts with natural feeling that to serve, that it comes from you, the inside part of you that you really want to serve. And so you go out there and give up the leadership that you.
Okay, thank you so much, David, and the team. Room two, where we had David Okello, Pamela, and Robert.
Good evening once again, leaders.
Yeah, good evening.
Am I audible enough?
Yeah, David, you are audible.
Okay. In our room, I had Pamela, Robert, and Johnston. Now, apparently, we were not in a position to get hold of Pamela. I think she had issues, and Johnston, an overseer. So I had discussions with Robert only, so it was only of us. But at least we managed to pick out something. We looked at today's review. Today's lesson, leadership. That is the military, the religious, politician. And whereas we saw that religious leadership is that there's no much authority as other leadership, military and politician. And we looked at this religious leadership, and we saw that it's not rooted mostly in this world notions of success, such as power, but it is rooted in Christ-centered values where we emulate Jesus. And you will find that it's effective more so when you are leading an organization. But we also reviewed the military kind of leadership, where we looked at it. You normally see when the military people, they are being elevated to position. It's kind of progressive and sequential. You move from this position to this position. A series of carefully planning, training, and it's something to emulate. And I was giving even Robert an example that advice, and there you just take instructions as they are, and there's some sense of discipline And you can see from the military, they are being held with high because they tend to the Nairobi County at the moment is being headed by a person from the military. You look at the things the way they're happening there. There's a change, and you find that it's based on a concept of duty, service, self-sacrifice to people. They tend to give it their all. And as we look at self-leadership, where we go out there and self-sacrifice and give it all, have the interest of the people at heart, not just about ourselves. Now, in this political leadership, sadly, catch up to the traits of a good leadership. In fact, I would say that majority of political leaders appear to be severely lacking the most essential qualities of a good leader, such as I've spoken even at the start of this session, is integrity and accountability. And I don't know why it comes so. And they normally say that politics is not a good place to be. So again, further today's session, we looked at some traits or some leadership style, which is democratic and autocratic. And autocratic, well, it works well in some organizations, but it looks more of an authoritarian kind of leadership. And it's need to be complemented with some certain leaderships for it to be effective. And basically what, again, we leadership also, there are some certain factors that require someone to be a leader. Environmental changes that makes one circumstances bring someone to be a leader. Situational circumstances, you can find even in your home at times when our parents are away, you're being left to look at things there. And you find yourself that out of that, you are growing to be a leader. Looked at the servant leadership, which is quite effective, because at this kind of leadership, you're going to have people interested at heart. You mostly look at the people more so in an organization more than the system. You will be there for them, and it serves as the most ideal or efficient kind of leadership style. I will end there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David, and your team for the intensive discussions. So I'll allow me just to welcome Reverend Kahindi. I know you spend our time, we're almost actually to the expected time, but I'll just request we can probably extend with the 20 minutes since he's here for us. Just within the 20 minutes, I'm sure we can be able to go through cohort lesson 8 and be able to interact with Reverend Kahindi, and also probably share a few questions with him. So maybe as he facilitates, if there's something that comes up, either a question or a comment, to make us maximize on the time, we can just chat so that we can conclude within maybe the next 20 minutes or so. Reverend Kahindi, take it up.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Good evening, leaders. Hope you can hear me. Please give me an indication that we are together. Whatever the indication is, give me an indication that we are together. Somebody has put a thumb up. Yes, thumb up, thumb up, thumb up. That is very good. That is very good. Okay, so I'm taking you through lesson number 8, which is leadership development phases. As we have learned in lesson number 7, we've learned a number of leadership styles. And while you are doing your presentation, how in the military people are developing from one stage to another and getting their crowns. Well, this is leadership development. And in leadership, there are those development phases. And why this lesson is for you to understand that these things are there, that you need to grow. There are some phases in your leadership development. So you know, and then you do it with knowledge, okay? We said our time is in March, so I will try to keep it brief. And our lesson is on page number 39. For those of you, you will find this there. So as I begin going through my notes, in leadership development phases, in the book, Authentic Leadership Guide by one Bill George, it knows that leadership is not something you are born with. Leadership requires constant self-development and growth. So leadership is a journey with 3 distinct phases. In other words, leadership is a state of becoming, not a then distinct phases. In the second is the actual leading, and thirdly, giving back. Okay, in my circle there of the authentic leader, an authentic leader must have purpose, and this one will give him passion, and you'll see through the passion that he'll have because he has a purpose. A leader must be guided by values. This one you shall see through his behavior. Those behaviors will show the values that guide this authentic leader. An authentic leader must retain relationships because that connectivity alone, you can go fast, but when you are many with others, you can go far. That's an African proverb. It says, if you want to go far, you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, then go with others. An authentic leader must have self-discipline. This gives him consistency, and he must lead with passion. That's from the heart. That's an authentic leader. Now, so leadership development that we have seen over there. There is this chart which shows preparing for leadership. That's phase number 1. In this first phase, knowing that leadership is a journey, you prepare for the leadership. And this one you do through character development. It is the self-leadership. So you take up that through the formation of character, and when you're learning and forming that character, you rub against the world, the people, and you learn them. And then you get into phase number 2, you step up to lead. That is now actual leading. In the second phase, you start leading by taking initiative, embracing new challenges until you reach a peak of leadership. You must take initiative because if you wait for you to be given leadership, it will take quite a while. But a leader, you will take initiative and embrace new challenges. Leadership is just an issue of dealing with challenges. Now, immediately you step up, as you can see from my chart there, there are crucibles. Crucibles means you see somebody's leading and you see it's possible and it's easy until you begin, and then you find things are going down. Those are crucibles. So when you see things are not working well, just hang on there and pick up the ropes. Eventually, you will reach the peak in leadership. Then you move to phase 3. And in this final part of leadership journey, you start seeking opportunities to spread your leadership wisdom to others and giving back to the community. And all through this, learning is a continuous process. So you must always learn. So in giving back, there is that generativity, wisdom, and giving back to the people or to the community. And these three phases can be seen in the flight phases that are shown here. There are about 7 to 8 phases which can be put together. If you can see from my drawing there, you see there is that part of preparing to lead. That is the character formation. This one represents the flight. Taking off is stepping to leadership. Then while you are up there, you are cruising, that is leadership. And you reach the peak of you are descending into your third phase, which is giving back wisdom and knowledge to the people. Okay, that's the final approach. This one is covered with mentorship and succession throughout the course. Now, mentorship and succession is a whole chapter we shall come to it. But just to mention, one thing is when you get to understand leadership and you are doing leadership, you need to get a mentee. There is that giving back, okay? And all through, you learned about the forces, competence, conviction, character, and clarity. I wish there was time. We would jog your memory on what you learned that time, okay? So there are essentially 3 cornerstones of leadership development. The first one is character formation, which is self-leadership. And in later self-leadership, you be authentic and true. The leadership, as you will see, you must be a leader to yourself first. So self-awareness and identity must be retained by you. And this forms the foundation of leadership, determines sustainability and stability of the rest. Well, your papers can get you somewhere, but your character will have. Second cornerstone, leading through that chart about conviction. So doing the right thing based on principles and moral force, maximizing influence, inspiration, and impact. And then the third phase comes, which is thinking generativity. This giving back the knowledge, the skills, the expertise. Leader, and in your leadership, you pass it on. You call it passing on the baton. Levels of leadership. Now, there is this source which gives 4 levels of leadership. And the first level is personal leadership. And the personal leadership, there are the personal strengths and traits which you develop, and the ability to lead and manage oneself in becoming a highly effective person lead you. There was a quote that we began with, and they said, you don't have to wait for a leader. You just do it. Don't wait for a leader. You remember that? I'm alone.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. You need to be fast on that button. When I ask you, just respond fast. Okay, the second level is emerging leadership. So after personal leadership, now you emerge to the emerging leadership, and that is fundamental leadership skills to lead and manage a few individuals or a team, okay? You become a team leader of a few people there. You are emerging leadership. Now, team leadership is a leader of leaders. The team you are leading emerging leaders. You getting me there? So the strengthening of leadership skills to lead a team of managers with their individual teams. And then there is a fourth level of business leadership. Now, this is where you are thinking of big businesses, and there is the leader there. He leads the business functions as well as people to achieve the overall business goal. Okay. Now, the principle of self-leadership says, if you cannot lead yourself, you will never be able to lead others. So you see, all these levels we're talking about are all hinged on the very first one, personal leadership. Self-leadership is fundamental. It is the fundamental form of leadership of the four. Self-leadership is inside out. You begin from within out with others. And leadership teams become intentional when it comes from inside. You'll be intentional about it, you'll be influential, and you shall have an impact. Okay? Now, there's this last line which says, this is achieved by developing and self-efficacy. Three things: self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-efficacy. Self-efficacy, the belief in oneself. Okay? And then we have mentioned the levels of leadership, and from another source, here we have the personal leadership, we have the team leadership, we have the business leadership. And then there's something here that is added called strategic leadership. To voluntarily make decisions that enhance the prospects for the organization's long-term success while maintaining short-term financial stability. When you were doing your lesson number 7, the last slide touched on something. There was that big word. Who can remember that one? Just unmute and tell me. I'm alone.
Hello.
Who can remember that big word?
It was very or something.
Somebody else? That's a nice try. Somebody else? Who else can say the word? Oh, I'm alone. Where have my students gone to? Ambidextrous. Ambidextrous. And the chairman was explaining and said it is the ability of using both hands, the left and the right hand together. And in leadership, he talked of that ability of keeping focus on the long term to achieve the long term, whereas maintaining the short-term financial ability or stability. So that's ambidextrous. Strategic leadership here, therefore, ensures that these two are taken care of, ambidextrous. So strategic leadership refers to the manager's potential and persuade others to acquire that relation. Okay. Now, looking at the levels I've covered in the slide before this and this one, if we combine the two, we are having the level leader. And then there is team leadership, business leadership, and fifth is strategic leadership. I hope you are getting it. So leadership, leading self, that is, and you need to, then you step up to leading others, giving them positive influence. Then you use empowerment. You empower the leaders to lead the others. And eventually the highest form of leadership is leading movements. And this is transformation. And you can achieve it when you are really sold to a cause. If we had the time to engage you, I would ask you for one of the people you know over there. I know there's somebody who knows people here. Just mention for me a name of the people you see there. Whom do you see on the first photo on your left? Nobody's here. Pamela?
The answers on the
No,
chat.
yes,
David?
I can see. Are you there?
Yes, yes.
The first
Yes,
person
go on.
on the first photo is Martin Luther King.
Yes.
Second one is
Junior.
Sorry. The
Yes,
second one
yes.
is Mother Teresa. And the last
Yeah.
one is Mandela, Nelson.
Okay. Whenever you hear these names, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I need to give you thumbs up for, you really know these people. Whenever you hear these people, there's something that comes into your mind. They were sold to a cause. How did they begin? These people who are students, they were followers of somebody along the way. They discipled into it. And then they stepped into leadership. Eventually, they found a cause and a mission, and they led into movements. When you reach that and you are sold to it, death is not an issue to you. Remember, Martin Luther King Jr. said, I've been to the top of the mountain. And he says, I've looked and seen the land of Canaan where I want to go. I may not reach there. You see, he was foretelling his death, but he still believes in it. And he says, I have a dream. And to him, life had no meaning, but he was sold to that cause. The same to Mother Teresa and Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, 27 years in jail for sure. Is it that he wanted money, he wanted what? Because what didn't the white people give him or offer him to just drop that cause? But when you're sold to it, everything else makes no use. And that is where leadership now is a proper sacrifice, a form of leadership. Jesus, as was mentioned as an example, you see, he was willing to die for his cause. Okay, my time will not allow me to go deeper. Now, according to John Maxwell, gives these levels of leadership, and I have said the first one is a position where somebody has rights and people follow you because they believe they have. You know, like those ones who are you are given a position because your father was in that position. Okay, so it's a position you're given, and people have no choice; they just have to. Okay. Second level is permission, where there are relationships. People follow you because they want to. And thirdly, where there's production, that's results. People follow you because of what you have done to the organization. And four, people development. This is where people have developed you, or somebody has done for you something good, or let me say reproduction. People follow you because of what you have done for them. Okay, so because they see that they develop under you, they follow you. Then in the pinnacle, follow you because of who you are and what you represent. That is what now we say somebody sold to a cause. Nelson Mandela, they were fighting and ready to die because of what he was representing: freedom, equality. People who were willing to fight the army, risk, be shot with the bullets, but to follow Mandela because of what he was standing for. How I pray that we reach of leadership. Okay. Now I want us to mention a few qualities and the characteristics of leadership. On your book, we are on page number 42. We will mention a few there. I want you to pay great attention because this is where your homework will come from. So, qualities and characteristics of self-leadership. Self-leadership is the foundation of all leadership development. I cannot overemphasize this. Leadership is the process by which you influence yourself first to achieve your own objectives, which are linked to your own vision. Have your own vision, yet you achieve your own objectives and influence to achieve that. Okay? So self-leadership is based on intentional choices. You choose that because I want to do this, I want to reach this level, then I will do A and I will stop doing B. Intentional choices. So by being intentional, we live a life of choice. Okay. Motivated and intrinsically motivated. If you say, I need to be paid for me to be motivated, you are yet to grow. If you say, no, you need to be self-motivated. As a leader, you wake up, you know, today I've chosen to do A, B, C, D. It doesn't matter whether it is the work you have been employed to do or your own thing. You must have self-motivation. I hope somebody is convinced today. Self-leadership determines the effectiveness and the impact of team leadership, business leadership, and strategic leadership. If you cannot lead yourself, you cannot be a team leader, you cannot be a business leader, a strategic leader. That's why you see the people that are in the corporate world and are leading hardly sleep. Why? They need to have some discipline before me. That is the ownership of the choices, which leads to greater responsibility and accountability. He holds himself accountable and therefore has the moral authority to hold the others accountable. Self-leadership is modeling leadership in our health, demonstrating leadership in our families, reflecting leadership around our finances, and living leadership within our organizations and communities. Now, if you are following me, I mentioned of reflecting leadership around our finances, and you may ask how, but how you spend your money shows whether you are a leader or you are not, okay? Self-leaders constantly develop self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-belief. For self-belief is self-efficacy. The first one was called ambidextrous, okay? Self-awareness. Well, you did part one, level one of this was more of self-awareness, and even as you are stepping into level two, you'll find we are underscoring the issue of self-awareness because that is where it all begins, or that is where it will crumble. So self-awareness is about knowing your intentions and values, as well as knowing your strengths, abilities, and weaknesses. Self-confidence comes from knowing these strengths and your abilities. So you need to know them so that you can build self-confidence. As we take action and develop skills, we become more confident. So when you take step, the antidote for fear is action. When you take step now, you become more and more confident. Now, self-efficacy is the belief that whatever comes our way, we can handle it. We can take the feedback. When we are not doing right or we are doing right, we get the feedback, we shall accept it, we shall adjust, and we shall advance forward. With self-efficacy, you can be more. This is where there is this big verse in this book that sometimes I read and says you can do all things. Now it comes from there. That verse builds self-efficacy, that belief in yourself. I want to conclude with this slide. And this man, Robin Sharma, is an author of a book which he entitled Leader Who Had No Title. You need to lead whether you have a title or not, because you don't need the title to lead. Somewhere in the other lessons, you learned that anybody can lead because anybody can serve. And that's serving the leadership. Now, this one says, leader who had no title. And he knows that winning in these times of revolutionary change demands revolutionary leadership model. Creating an environment and culture where everyone needs to show leadership, everyone drives innovation, everyone inspires teammates, everyone embraces change, everyone takes responsibility for results, everyone leads through positive thinking, and everyone devotes to expressing the absolute best. Today, if I must call an altar call, you are told I'm an reverend. So when I preach, I need to make an altar call. It is my prayer that you will be that everyone who drives innovation. That is show leadership, and you'll be that everyone who inspires teammates. That you will be that everyone who embraces change. How I pray that you will be that person who takes responsibility for results. And that will be that everyone who leads through positive thinking, and that everyone who devotes to express your absolute best in your leadership. Not lackluster leadership, but you devote to express your absolute best. This is my prayer. And if you do that, my time will have gotten all the value in this world. We have gone through the qualities of leadership. So I ask of you that you evaluate your self-leadership based on the self-leadership qualities and identify areas of improvement. The ones that we have read, you can get those ones on your homepage 42 all the way to 43, and they also given 45. Just evaluate yourself and see the qualities, the areas where you need to improve, because you said leadership is a state of becoming. It's not a state of being. I hope I've been within time. Let me look at the chat, even as I allow you to ask questions. There's nothing in the chat. Or you are writing about these ones. Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody with a question? Actually, I spent less than 20 minutes, so it was within time. Okay, Chairman, there is no question. So thank you for your patience. Today we have kept it, but I hope there was value. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Thank you for that very concise and precise discussion. I will challenge us as we undertake the leadership challenge. Look at the John Maxwell's level of leadership and also try to gauge yourself where you are. Are you at the position level, at permission level, production level, people development, or pinnacle? And I think all of us aspire to be at the pinnacle, because this is where the highest level, the highest phase of leadership, where there is respect, and also the issue of generativity comes in handy in that. So add that to your leadership challenge. Otherwise, thank you so much. We have engaged quite intensely today, and we are happy even with the interaction. We appreciate, and thank you so much, Reverend Kahindi. I know we'll be coming back in another session. I hope we'll have more time so that we can also be able to interact with the team. Otherwise, as we close, maybe if there is one word from David Okello, just one word as we close, or just a comment. David Okello and then David Macau.
I can say that I highly appreciate the profound sessions we've had with Johnston, and it's on my part now to reevaluate myself according to the qualities that have been mentioned, to see to it that I improve on myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, David Okello. David Macau, a comment.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm so grateful for the classes. I'm sorry I came late, but I was able to catch up. Thank you for our guests for the insights and the lesson. We're able to catch up to get most part of the things that we are learning, and I'm grateful for the new things that we're able to learn as leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David Macau. We'll have Mariam Karanja. Let me hope we can be able to hear you well, and then Pamela. So Mariam first.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mariam, we can hear you. Great.
Yes. Mine is to appreciate the presenters for today. That was very insightful. And more so, just I'm getting challenged every day I attend this class. I just need to know which kind of a leader I am and how is that I need to leader with confidence, then I'm appreciate.
Thank you so much, Mariam. Pamela, a comment from Pamela.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Pamela, we can hear you well.
Oh, yes. Okay, my network has been a problem, but I think even today I have learned a lot about leadership. And one of the things that I can say is take home for me is kind of leadership that involves a lot of discipline, which is lacking in most of our leaders nowadays. And that I'm learning is that as leaders, we really ought to be so disciplined, and that would help even those who are following to, those we are leading to be more disciplined. Otherwise, I have learned much more, but because of time, maybe I can't even share more than that. But I want to thank the presenters for the very insightful presentations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pamela. Robert Gitahi.
Good evening, leaders.
Good evening.
I'm grateful. I had a few challenges when the presentation started. I had issues of network, but I'm grateful. The lessons have been so insightful. See what leadership quality for the presentation. They have been so great and insightful. I look forward for learning more and becoming a better leader. Thank you.
Wow, thank you all. As you go, remember self-efficacy, and also remember ambidextrous leadership. I will be sharing a link. I indicated that we are planning for a retreat, a team building and retreat, together with graduation on 14th of August. We are also opening it to you so that you can probably participate if your schedule allows, but we encourage you to come on board. We are focusing on the cohorts that will be graduating, but if you have an opportunity, please just join on board so that we can be able to network with the rest of the team. And then remember also that there is another forum coming this month, 17th of July. This will just be an online forum where we can meet and have a discussion, and all the network members, the Global Leadership Network members will be participating, and we'll have some speakers just to discuss a few topics that can help us drive change, as well as handling the challenges that comes with you and me becoming a driver of change. So I'll share those updates as we embark on the next week. Again, next week we'll put you in groups so that we can start discussing about our group project. As you can already note, the program goes very fast. At the initial stage, when we're talking about 3 months, it looks like it's so long, but when we start the sessions, time just flies. So we'll be putting you in groups next week, and then we'll guide you on how we're going to undertake our project proposal. Otherwise, I appreciate you. Thank you for adjusting your time today, and we thank God for everything. And I just wish you a blessed night. So we request we unmute and share the words of grace together. Okay, and may the grace
Our Lord Jesus Christ,
and the love of
and the love of God,
and the fellowship
and
of
the
and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit
be with us now
be with us now
and forevermore.
and
forever.
forevermore.
Amen.
Amen.
Blessed night, everyone.
Blessed night.